I work at a 7-Eleven that's open 24 hours. Most people hate the night shift because it's long, quiet, and lonely. But I always thought it was peaceful. No impatient customers, no long lines, just silence and a cup of hot coffee to keep me awake. That night started like any other. The clock read 1:47 a.m. while I was stocking canned drinks near the refrigerators. The store was completely silent, except for the low humming of the cooling machines, steady, rhythmic, almost like slow breathing. Then, out of nowhere, I heard something. It sounded like a child crying somewhere in the back of the store. I froze. I thought maybe someone had walked in without me noticing, so I called out, "Hello? Do you need help?" No response. The sound stopped instantly, leaving a silence so heavy that I could hear my own heartbeat pounding in my ears. I tried to shake it off. Maybe it was just the wind in the vents or some weird noise from the pipes. But a few minutes later, the crying started again, clearer this time, unmistakably like a little girl. My skin prickled with goosebumps. I slowly walked toward the aisle where I thought the sound was coming from. Each step felt heavier than the last. When I reached the end of the aisle, the crying suddenly shifted, coming from the opposite side of the store, near the snack section. I swallowed hard. "Whoever you are, come out. If you need help, I can call someone." Suddenly, the crying exploded right behind me, so close it felt like someone was breathing at my neck. I spun around fast. Nothing. No one. Just rows of shelves standing quietly like tall figures watching me. My hand shook as I grabbed the flashlight from under the register. I swept the beam through the aisles. The neon lights above flickered weakly, and my shadow stretched long across the floor, distorted like a dark figure following closely behind. As I passed the refrigerators, the voice came again, this time right next to my ear. "I'm here." I jumped backwards so hard that I almost dropped the flashlight. My breath turned sharp and ragged. I wasn't sure anymore if the sound was far away or right beside me. I ran toward the entrance, desperate to get out. But before I reached it, every light in the store suddenly went out. Darkness, thick and suffocating. The only light was the trembling beam of my flashlight. I stood completely still, afraid to move or even breathe. Then from behind me, I heard small footsteps running in circles around me, quick, playful, like a child playing a game. I squeezed my eyes shut and screamed, calling for help, begging for someone to walk in, for any sound that belonged to the real world. When the lights finally came back on, everything was quiet. The store was empty. No child, no footsteps, no trace of anything unusual. Just me, standing alone in the middle of the aisle, shaking and unable to explain what had happened. I still wish it was just a prank. I try to convince myself someone was messing with me, but deep down, I know the truth. There was no one else in the store that night. And sometimes now, when I'm working the night shift, in the silence, I hear that voice again. I always thought the night shift at a gas station was the most boring job in the world. But after that night, boredom is exactly what I long for. Because now, what's left in my head is fear. The kind that sticks to your bones and never lets go. The digital clock on the counter read 3:02 a.m. The night was so silent that the ticking sound of the second hand felt like a hammer striking metal. Cold air crawled through every corner of the station, and the neon light above the counter flickered violently, casting a sickly pale glow, like the lighting in a morgue. I sat behind the cashier counter, staring at the CCTV screen showing 4 angles of the gas station. No customers, no cars. Nothing. Just empty concrete under a dead black sky. To keep myself awake, I tapped the pen against the wooden counter, rhythmically, trying to fight the strange pressure building in my chest. But instead of feeling awake, I felt like something was waiting, like the night itself was holding its breath. Outside, the wind pushed against a torn promotional banner hanging from the roof. The plastic slapped and fluttered loudly, but the sound didn't feel natural. It sounded like whispers, whispering words I couldn't understand. Then, suddenly, the screech of tires cut through the silence. My heart jumped. I snapped my eyes to the CCTV screen just as an old black sedan appeared in front of Pump 4. The headlights flickered weakly, blinking like dying eyes. I hadn't heard the car approaching. No engine sound, no headlights from the road. It was just there, as if the darkness had spit it out. The car door creaked open slowly. A tall, extremely skinny man stepped out. His jacket was a worn, dirty gray, and he moved stiffly, like his joints were rusted. His head hung slightly forward, and his steps dragged like his feet were too heavy to lift.
He walked toward the pump without looking around and without expression. Something about the way he moved made my stomach twist, like his body wasn't used to being alive anymore. I looked at the pump monitor. The numbers should have started running as soon as the nozzle was attached, but the screen remained frozen at 0. No liters, no dollars, nothing. A chill crawled up the back of my neck and wrapped around my spine. I stood up and stepped closer to the office window to see him more clearly. The lights in the pump area dimmed as if something was draining the electricity out of them. The man stopped suddenly and turned his head toward me. I wish I never saw his eyes. His eyes were not human. They were black, completely black, with no whites, no pupils, just endless void. Looking into them felt like staring into a hole that led nowhere and everywhere. My breath caught in my throat. I couldn't move. I couldn't even blink. And then, in a single instant, the man and the car vanished. Not drove away, not walked, vanished, like someone deleted them from reality. The nozzle he was holding swung in the air before falling, crashing against the metal pump, echoing through the night. I stumbled backward and hit the wall behind me. My knees trembled so hard I could hardly stand. I looked back at the CCTV screen, but the cameras were filled with static, glitching black and white noise. I didn't sleep at all until morning. As soon as the sun rose and the day shift arrived, I went straight to my manager. I expected him to laugh, to call me exhausted or crazy, but when I finished telling him what I saw, his face turned pale, white as paper, and his hands started shaking. When did this happen?" he asked, voice shaky. 3 in the morning, I answered quietly. He swallowed hard, his eyes full of dread. I saw the same thing 3 months ago, the same black sedan, the same tall, thin man, at pump 4, and he disappeared too. My heartbeat thundered like a drum inside my chest. Who is he? What's happening here? The manager took a deep breath, his voice trembling. 4 years ago, right outside this station, a terrible crash happened. A black sedan overturned and exploded. The driver was burned alive before help could arrive. They said his body was charred beyond recognition. Ever since then, people say Pump 4 is haunted. I thought it was just a rumor until I saw him myself. Before I could speak, the lights inside the gas station flickered hard, buzzing loudly. We both turned toward the window. Pump 4 lit up by itself. The red indicator glowed like an eye opening. The nozzle swung slowly, as if held by invisible hands. And then we heard it. The sound of footsteps dragging across the asphalt. Slow, heavy, wet. Something moving toward us. My blood turned to ice. A voice followed, a low, dry, broken whisper right behind us. "Fill it up." And the lights went out.